Salut tout le monde. Salut on Switch. Salut YouTube, salut Twitch, salut tous ceux qui sont présents. Donc salut Skyzy, salut Esteban, salut Arnox. Pour répondre à ta question, Skyzy, non, ce n'est pas un jeu d'horreur ce soir. Pour répondre à ta question, Esteban, c'est jeudi le FNAF. C'est quand FTN. Ce serait, on se termine jeudi. Jeudi le jeu le fan game de FNAF. Donc ça sera jeudi. Hein. Salut Edith. Donc voilà, salut à tout le monde. Donc aujourd'hui, on va s'aventurer dans un autre domaine. On va s'aventurer dans un autre jeu. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Alors, apparemment, comme d'habitude, je ne déteste tester les jeux avant de faire le live. Je préfère toujours découvrir avec vous ce que c'est. Je sais juste que c'est un viewer qui m'a dit fais ce jeu, tu vas voir, c'est marrant. Il y a plusieurs types de fins. En fonction de ce que tu fais, tu auras une fin. Fortnite, c'est mercredi, Esteban. Fortnite, ah, FTN, tu veux dire Fortnite. Fortnite, c'est mercredi après-midi, de 14h à 17h. D'ailleurs, demain, donc c'est demain, hein. Demain, je ferai un mix comme la dernière fois. Ça veut dire que je ferai la dernière fois, j'avais fait 2 heures de Fortnite, 1 heure de Fall Guys. On peut garder le même planning. On fait 2 heures de Fortnite et après 1 heure de Fall Guys. Je sais pas si tu veux jouer à Fall Guys. Ça marche, Esteban. Bah, tu viens et je t'invite, y a pas de souci. Salut Raphaël. Tu sors du boulot, toi, Raphaël, non? Faut être là. Donc, on va se lancer sur Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Tu pars au travail? Ok. Ok, cette fois-ci, tu l'auras le top 1. Ok, ça marche. On verra ça demain. Donc, on va essayer de se lancer sur ce jeu que je ne connais absolument pas, apparemment. Donc, je vous rappelle, hein, c'est pas un jeu d'horreur. C'est plutôt un jeu d'énigmes. D'obéissance apparemment. D'ailleurs vous voyez le fond d'écran que j'ai mis avec au fond l'employé du mois. Si vous n'avez pas remarqué, au fond le petit tableau de l'employé du mois. Et oui, c'est moi l'employé du mois. Bon, allez, sur ce, je vais lancer le jeu. Je vais dans ma bibliothèque, je vais lancer Stanley. C'est parti, jouer, on va le lancer. Ça marche, Esteban. Bah, reviens si tu veux, hein, si tu as rechargé tes batteries. Il n'y a pas de souci. De toute façon, je pense que je vais avoir besoin de l'aide encore, comme à chaque fois. J'aime bien, en fait, faire des jeux où alors, effectivement, les viewers peuvent intervenir et décider. Ça, j'aime bien, ce genre de type de jeu. Entre l'heure actuelle, il est quelle heure? Il est 20h06. Allez, confirmé. Avant de commencer, est-ce que je peux dire quelque chose? Oui, merci d'avoir vraiment relayé l'heure les 2 fois où vous avez lancé le jeu. D'accord. Tant de gens ne prennent pas cette étape au sérieux, ils laissent l'heure régler sur midi et basta. Ok. Oui, parce que pour faire le test du jeu, j'ai lancé pour regarder les paramètres graphiques. Mais vous avez pris le temps d'indiquer l'heure et je vous suis reconnaissant. Ok. Je sais ainsi que vous vous souciez de votre expérience, votre attention est focalisée sur le jeu. Merci. D'ailleurs, je n'ai aucun moyen de vérifier si l'heure que vous avez entrée est correcte. Je vais vous dire, nous allons passer un marché. Puisque vous faites preuve de tellement de bonne volonté, la prochaine fois que vous lancerez le jeu et verrez cet écran, vous n'aurez qu'à saisir votre heure préférée. Allez-y, choisissez l'heure que vous voulez, même si ce n'est pas la bonne heure. Vous l'avez bien mérité. Sur ce, je vous laisse accéder au jeu. D'accord. Est-ce que je relancerai pas? Ah ouais, recharge en même temps, Esteban. Par curiosité, je vais relancer le jeu pour voir ce qu'il va me dire. Retour bureau, je vais relancer le jeu, on va voir ce qu'il va me dire. Je vous dis, hein, le jeu, il réagit en fait à nos actions. Donc rien que mettre l'heure dans le jeu interagit avec nous. Entrez l'heure actuelle. Et bah moi je vais être soucieux. Je vais remettre la même heure. Pour voir si... s'il me dit quelque chose. Confirmé. Ou bien n'avez-vous pas résisté à la tentation de m'indiquer la bonne heure? Après tout, je sais combien vous appréciez de me donner l'heure exacte. Et voilà, je suis maintenant curieux de savoir si 8h08 est la bonne heure ou pas. Voyons cela avec votre autre curseur. Quel est le degré d'exactitude de 8h08? Exact. Allez, exact à 30 secondes près. Vous savez, je voulais juste vous dire que cette heure soit exacte ou non, je passe un excellent moment à régler ces paramètres. J'ai l'impression d'en apprendre plus sur vous et vos préférences. Il est bon de collecter des données. J'aurais aimé qu'on ait plus de curseurs, mais nous les avons tous utilisés. Je pourrais inviter de nouveaux curseurs pour recueillir des données à votre sujet. Ça n'a rien de compliqué. Oui, je vais fabriquer de nouveaux. Ça devrait être prêt la prochaine fois que vous démarrez le jeu. Bah, donc c'est-à-dire que si je redémarre le jeu, il va encore me demander des trucs. Mais bon, on va pas relancer le jeu X fois, hein, on va y aller. Hein. Allez, on va couper la musique. On va se lancer dans ce jeu qui est The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Commencez le jeu, c'est parti. C'est l'histoire d'un homme appelé Stanley.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427
Ça a l'air un travail vraiment intense, hein, ce qu'il fait. Hein. Il appuie avec un doigt sur le clavier. Alors, le principe du jeu, c'est de découvrir quel est notre rôle en tant qu'employé dans ce monde. En fait, c'est de savoir un peu si tu suis les ordres ou non. Et en fonction de ce que tu fais, comment tu réagis, la fin sera différente.
When he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Donc là, on a un narrateur qui nous raconte l'histoire. Alors, ce que je vais faire pour comprendre un peu comment ça marche, je vais suivre exactement ce que le narrateur me dit. Donc normalement, on va avoir une fin en suivant le narrateur. Ensuite, le jeu sera terminé, donc on aura vu la première fin. Il y a une multitude de fins. Le but étant de découvrir ces multitudes de fins et effectivement d'agir en fonction de ce que vous voulez faire. Donc ce qu'on va faire, c'est qu'à chaque fois qu'il y aura une question qui sera posée, on se mettra ensemble pour savoir qu'est-ce qu'on va faire. Donc pour l'instant, je vais suivre bêtement ce que va me dire le narrateur. D'accord? Donc il m'a dit que je me levais et que je sortais de mon bureau. Ok. Apparemment, il n'y a plus personne dans les bureaux. Les portes sont fermées. Tous ses collègues avaient disparu, mais pourquoi?
Stanley décida
de se rendre dans la salle de réunion et il avait peut-être simplement raté le mémo. Ok, donc on va voir où est la salle de réunion pour voir s'il y a le mémo. Je vais lire à voix haute ce qu'il dit. Parce que c'est peut-être petit si vous regardez sur un smartphone ou une tablette. Vous voyez peut-être pas la traduction. Stanley se mit à toucher tous les objets qu'il trouvait dans son bureau. Mais cela n'a pas eu le moindre effet, pas plus que cela ne fit avancer l'histoire. D'accord, donc en fait là il est en train de commenter ce que je suis en train de faire. Donc, je ne vais pas toucher aux objets du bureau, on va aller directement à la salle de réunion. On va aller directement à la salle de la réunion, comme un bon... Stanley parvint à la hauteur de 2 portes ouvertes et décida de s'engouffrer dans celle de gauche. Donc on va aller dans la salle de gauche. Là on va suivre bêtement ce qu'il nous dit. On va arrêter de prendre des initiatives. Et pourtant là non plus, il n'y avait personne. Saisi d'une vague d'inquiétude, Stanley décida de monter jusqu'au bureau de son chef dans l'espoir d'y trouver une réponse. On va aller voir le bureau du chef. Je sais pas où est le bureau du chef. Arrivé à l'escalier, Stanley gravit une par une les marches menant au bureau de son chef. Ok, on y va. Pour l'instant, je suis bêtement ce qu'il me dit. Je sais pas où est le bureau de son chef. Il doit être par là. Ok, ça c'est le bureau du chef. En entrant dans le bureau de son chef, Stanley fut de nouveau stupéfait de constater l'absence totale de présence humaine. Choqué, abattu, Stanley se demanda qui avait bien pu orchestrer cela. Quel sombre secret lui était ainsi caché. Ce qu'il ne pouvait pas savoir, c'était que le pavé numérique posé derrière le bureau renfermait la terrible vérité que son chef lui avait cachée. Le chef l'avait même protégé d'un code numérique ultra confidentiel. 2, 8, 4, 5. 2, 8, 4, 5.
Stanley couldn't possibly. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened
Il s'engouffra dans le couloir qui s'offrait à lui. Ah mais peut-être que j'aurais pas dû taper le code, j'aurais eu une autre fin. C'est pas grave, on y va, allez on y va. Je pense que c'est par là qu'il faut aller.
Descending deeper into the building,
tandis qu'il s'enfonçait toujours plus loin dans le bâtiment, Stanley réalisa qu'il se sentait étrange. Les émotions se bousculaient dans sa poitrine. Comme s'il se sentait plus libre de penser par lui-même, d'interroger la nature de son travail. Pourquoi ressentait-il cela maintenant alors que pendant des années cela ne l'avait jamais traversé? Cette question ne restait pas sans réponse pendant bien longtemps. Ok. Alors, j'ai pris quand même trop d'initiative. Stanley marchait droit vers la grande porte sur laquelle on pouvait lire Centre de contrôle mental. Donc, vous voyez qu'il y a à gauche Escape. J'y vais pas. Je vais suivre ce que me dit le narrateur. Là, il me dit rien. Est-ce que je dois appuyer sur le bouton? Les lumières éclairèrent une salle gigantesque remplie d'écrans de télévision. Quel horrible secret pouvait bien renfermer ce lieu, se demanda Stanley. Aurait-il force de percer le... J'ai pas lu le... Alors on va voir ce que ça donne. Alors il y a un autre chemin, on y va. Pour l'instant j'essaie de faire, et encore je pense que j'ai pris trop d'initiative. Je vais essayer de suivre exactement ce qu'il me dit. Bon, je vois un bouton, j'appuie, les caméras. Quand les écrans prirent vie, leur véritable fonction leur apparut. Chaque portrait, le numéro des employés du bâtiment, les collègues de Stanley. Ah oui, donc chaque écran est l'écran d'un collègue. Observé en continu dans ce lieu où le mot liberté ne signifiait rien. D'accord. Donc ça, c'est tous les écrans de tous mes collègues de travail. Super. On n'est pas du tout espionnés.
This mind control
Ce centre de contrôle mental, c'est trop horrible pour y croire. Ce ne pouvait pas être vrai. Stanley avait passé tout son temps sous le contrôle de quelqu'un d'autre. Était-ce la seule raison pour laquelle il était heureux de son travail rébarbatif? Ses émotions auraient été manipulées afin d'accepter son sort sans broncher. Non, il refusait d'y croire. Il ne pouvait l'accepter. Sa propre existence contrôlée par quelqu'un d'autre, jamais. C'était impensable, n'est-ce pas? Et puis, c'était seulement possible. Avait-il vraiment passé sa vie entière aveuglé? La preuve était pourtant sous ses yeux, le cœur des opérations, des commandes marquées d'une émotion heureuse, triste, satisfait. Marcher, manger, travailler, toutes ces actions surveillées et commandées depuis cet endroit. Alors qu'il commençait vraiment à comprendre les temporalités, Stanley décida que le système n'exercerait plus jamais son effroyable domination sur d'autres vies humaines. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'il veut que je fasse? Car il comptait détruire ses commandes une bonne fois pour toutes. D'accord, et comment tu veux détruire ça? On va aller tout droit. Je ne touche à rien, hein. Je vais direct sur le système power. Alors, système power off. L'obscurité, un frisson d'incertitude de plus en plus intense. Était-ce terminé? Oui, il avait gagné. Il avait vaincu la machine, il s'était libéré du joug de cet autre. La liberté était à portée de main. Et pourtant, tandis que l'immense porte s'ouvrait lentement, Stanley repensa à toutes les questions qui restaient sans réponse. Où étaient passés ses collègues? Comment avait-il pu être libéré de l'emprise de la machine? Quel autre mystère pouvait bien renforcer cette étrange machine? Alors que les rayons du soleil inondaient la pièce, il réalisa que tout cela ne concernait plus. Le but de sa quête n'était ni le savoir, ni la puissance, mais seulement le bonheur. Donc, l'objectif n'était peut-être pas de comprendre, mais de lâcher prise. Plus personne ne lui dirait jamais où aller, quoi faire ou comment se sentir. Quelle que serait sa vie à présent, mais c'est un projecteur, ça? C'est pas un projecteur?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin. La
sensation de liberté, toutes les possibles qui s'offraient à lui en suivant ce nouveau chemin. C'était exactement ainsi que les choses devaient se passer. C'était exactement ainsi que les choses devaient se passer. Et voilà, donc je crois que c'est une fin. On va vérifier. Voilà, c'est bien ça. Donc en fait là, on a fait bêtement suivre le narrateur pour voir effectivement ce qui se passait. Et là, on se retrouve au bureau. Donc, voilà, je vous ai expliqué. Il y a plein de choses à faire dans ce jeu. On peut faire ce que l'on veut. Chaque action agit sur l'histoire. Et le but étant de comprendre qu'est-ce qu'on fait là et pourquoi on est là. Donc, maintenant, on va prendre les choses en main. Et on va avoir notre libre arbitre. Donc, je ne vais plus suivre ce que va me dire le narrateur. Donc déjà... je sors du bureau. Je vais fouiller un peu partout. Je vais regarder un peu partout. Est-ce que je peux pas ouvrir les dossiers? L'ordinateur. On va essayer de trouver une autre fin. Tous ses collègues avaient disparu, mais pourquoi? Voilà. Il me dit d'aller dans la salle de réunion. Mais moi, je veux trouver... Mais Stanley avait beau écarquiller les yeux, il ne trouvait pas sa trace. Ok, d'accord. Alors, il ne trouvait pas de trace de ses collègues. Alors moi, je vais regarder un peu si je vois des choses. Ah, j'ai éteint un ordinateur. Stanley s'est mis à toucher tous les objets qu'il trouvait dans son bureau. Mais cela n'a pas le moindre effet. Comme tout à l'heure, il a dit la même chose.
Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is
Clique
that
5
all
fois
that
sur
you
la
think an
porte.
achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times.
Donc là, il me
I would say
dit, salut
that's
Jérémy.
the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
Donc là, il me dit que si je clique 5 fois sur cette porte, j'aurai pas de récompense. On va voir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Non. Il a raison. Il n'y aura pas de récompense. Faut se méfier de ce que dit le narrateur. Hein. Faut pas l'écouter. Il essaye de nous influencer.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling
Je
the
dois dire que je ressens
satisfaction
toujours
of
pas la
witnessing
satisfaction
true
d'observer
effort
un
for a
véritable
noble
effort
cause.
pour une noble cause.
Perhaps 50 clicks will do
50
it.
clics
Yes,
feront peut-être
almost
l'affaire. Oui,
certainly.
50 clics.
50
C'est
clicks.
presque sûr. 50 clics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment,
voir un
a
engagement,
willingness
une
to
volonté
go
d'aller au
all
bout
the
des
way,
choses,
no matter what the
quel qu'en
cost.
soit le prix.
Why don't you go put
Pourquoi ne
20
cliquez-vous
clicks
pas
into door
20
number
fois sur la porte
417?
417. 20 fois sur la porte 417. Ah ouais, mais elle est où la porte 417? Elle est où la porte 417? Est-ce que ça serait pas une arnaque?
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Donc vous voyez que le narrateur, il va essayer de tout faire pour me déstabiliser. 417, c'est celle-là. 20 fois, on va essayer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Ooh, great.
Très bien.
Now, go click a few times on door 437.
437. La 437.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
415. Vous voyez que l'histoire change complètement, en fait, en fonction de ce que l'on fait. 415.
Now, back to door number 437.
437. En fait, il est en train de me manipuler, là, le gars, là. Il est en train de me manipuler. En fait, je voulais pas être manipulé, finalement, je suis manipulé.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine?
La photocopieuse. Salut, Jérémy. Ça va, ça va? Je teste un nouveau jeu. En gros, c'est une histoire. On suit soit la narration, soit on fait ce qu'on veut. Et l'histoire change. La photocopieuse, je la trouve pas. Je sais pas où est la photocopieuse. Elle est là.
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
417. 417, il se fout de ma gueule, le narrateur. 417.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
419. Il est où le 419? Il est là. Mais le bureau du 419, il est là, mais... Une pute resave. Ok. Qu'est-ce que je peux faire, là? Je peux rien faire. 419. Il est où le bureau du 419? 416, 415, 417, 419.
Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
416. Alors, en fait, il va m'amener à la salle de réunion.
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again!
Allez, allez, photocopie! On va faire la photocopieuse.
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yeah! Yes! We did it!
Hey, on l'a fait!
Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks.
J'ai eu un achievement sur Steam en faisant ça. Parce que je l'ai obéi. Bon, ok, alors on continue d'avancer dans l'histoire. On va voir si je peux trouver quelque chose. Il n'y a plus personne dans les bureaux, on ne sait pas pourquoi.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alors, il me demande d'aller dans la porte de gauche. Est-ce que j'irai pas dans la porte de droite, plutôt? Ou même mieux, est-ce que j'irai dans aucune porte? Qu'est-ce qui se passe si je vais dans aucune porte? Parce que si je vais dans la porte de gauche, je suis la narration. Si je vais dans la porte de droite, je ne suis pas la narration. Mais est-ce que je peux ne rien faire? Ça, c'est une question. Pause café. Je pense pas. Je pense qu'il va rien me dire. Est-ce qu'il va me dire quelque chose? Pas l'air, hein. Bon, je vais aller prendre la porte de droite. Je vais pas suivre la narration. On va aller sur la porte de droite et on va voir un peu ce qui se passe. Allez, on va sur la porte de droite. C'est pas la bonne façon de se rendre à la salle de réunion et Stanley était parfaitement conscient. Peut-être voulait-il d'abord passer par la salle de pause pour l'admirer. Donc par là, c'est la place de pause. Ok, c'est la salle de pause par là. Il n'y a plus personne dans les bureaux. On sait même pas ce qu'on fait dans ces bureaux. Il n'y a que des papiers et des ordinateurs.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth
pièce
admiring.
Véritablement
It had really
admirable.
been worth the detour
Finalement,
after
ça
all,
avait...
just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ah, j'ai pas vu s'il y avait une autre porte. Ok. Faudrait que j'attende en fait. Il parle trop. Alors là, par exemple, j'ai le choix. Est-ce que je vais à droite ou est-ce que je vais à gauche? Je pense que si je vais là, il va me fermer la porte derrière moi. On va plutôt aller dans cette porte-là.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Donc vous voyez, ça c'est encore une solution d'histoire. Donc je suis pas passé par la porte normale. Et je peux pas revenir en arrière, donc c'est des choix. Qu'est-ce qu'ils font là? Il y a des entrepôts, ils stockent.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but
Et
you.
si je courais là?
What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
Je vais pas aller par là, moi.
I don't know how to convince you of this,
Moi, je vais aller
but
par là.
I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Ouais. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'il y a par là? Je veux pas suivre le narrateur. Tout est fermé. Ah.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Il me dit que Stanley est passé par la porte rouge. Est-ce que je vais à la porte rouge ou est-ce que je vais à la porte bleue? Je vais continuer à le...
Perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Non, je veux passer dans la porte rouge. La porte bleue. Ah, attendez. Il y a quoi là? Il y a une porte qui est fermée avec une carte. Il n'y a pas de carte qui traîne par hasard? Non. Et bah... Non, non, moi je vais pas aller dans la porte rouge, je vais aller dans la porte bleue.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red
Stanley franchit la
door.
porte rouge. Je crois que le message est très clair. Il veut que j'aille là. Je vois, il y a toujours une porte ici avec une carte. Je regarde si je trouve pas une carte. Bah non, je vais aller dans la bleue.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
On va pas suivre ce que dit le narrateur. La première fois, on a suivi tout ce qu'il a dit.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Ah. Donc là, on est revenu sur les deux autres portes avant. La porte de gauche me ramène à la salle de réunion, la porte de droite à la salle de pause. Et ça, c'est la salle qui ne sont pas construites. Eh ben, on va dans les salles qui ne sont pas construites, on y va.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback.
Ok, on va le
here.
critiquer sur son jeu. Je vais lui mettre 1, genre je suis pas content.
A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Ah. Ah, il a rajouté un panneau. Pour que ça soit plus joli. C'est quoi ça? Le gars, il me provoque. Il me provoque, ok, en me disant que je suis mal classé. Ok. Ok, alors. Eh ben, je vais repartir là.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors?
D'accord, un complément
Again,
compétitif me
honest
donne de la
answers,
motivation.
please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Allez, on laisse brûler le bébé.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower. Perhaps for some sort of
c'est le jeu
twisted
qui
erotic
surveille les
purpose.
feux, ça.
Yes,
J'y ai
that
jamais
must
joué.
be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Est-ce qu'il y a des choses à faire ici? Non. Allez, on descend. C'est pas un jeu d'horreur, Skyzy. C'est un jeu de découverte.
Oh no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Ah, il va nous trouver un autre jeu.
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Ah!
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I
Rocket
had
League.
in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Il m'a mis dans Rocket League.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
La balle. Elle est où la balle? Allez, on va marquer. Allez, on va marquer. Oh,
Are
attendez,
you
il y a
doing it? Hold on. What are you doing?
Moi, j'ai sauté dans le trou. Ah, je suis
Stanley,
sorti.
don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Attendez, il y a un passage par là. Est-ce que je peux aller dans les autres passages? On va regarder. Je pourrais aller dans le noir. Hein. Ah, je suis tombé dans le trou encore. Mais je suis où? Je suis tombé 2 fois dans le trou. Où est-ce que je suis? C'est fermé là? Je pense qu'il m'a complètement perdu le narrateur. Là, je me suis complètement extirpé. Faut que je trouve une porte ouverte. On va aller par là. Là-bas, il y a de la lumière. On va reprendre la lumière. Ils font quoi? Vous l'avez déjà fait ce jeu, les gars? Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Hein, je peux pas toucher, je peux pas interagir. J'appuie sur tous les boutons, mais il se passe rien. Ah.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
C'est la fin? Ok, donc c'était une fin. Je me suis perdu dans les fins fonds des bureaux. Le narrateur m'a perdu. Ok, donc on va faire autrement. Allez, je m'avance.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok, on va aller dans la salle de réunion directe. Je touche à rien.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je vais refaire la porte de droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
Il n'y a rien ici, hein.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Bon, j'aime bien cette room.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Il veut m'inciter à sortir de cette room. Mais pourquoi je resterai pas, moi, dans cette room? Moi, j'ai du café. Hein?
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Moi, je suis bien. Je suis bien, là. C'est calme. Pourquoi le narrateur, il veut que je m'en aille? Il y a des papiers, là. Je peux pas lire, non. Ok. Bon, allez, j'y vais.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Alors. Soit je vais tout droit, soit je vais par là. Tout à l'heure, on est allé par là. On remarque qu'on peut reprendre le même chemin. Mais au lieu de me jeter de la plateforme...
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
Il y a une
5
porte, là.
years ago.
Ah, mais j'ai pas le lecteur de carte. Il faudrait que je trouve la carte. Je sais pas où est la carte. Il y a peut-être une carte au début. J'ai pas fait gaffe. Bon, cette fois-ci, je vais pas sauter. Si je saute comme ça, il se passe quoi?
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Ok.
Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
C'était pas une bonne idée. Ok. On va recommencer.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
On va reprendre à
Perhaps he
droite.
had simply missed a memo.
Mais cette fois-ci, je vais me laisser transporter par la plateforme.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Allez, on reprend la même PS, sauf que cette fois-ci, je me laisse
Stanley was
transporter.
so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Là.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Pour elle? Pour elle,
This
pour
is
qui?
it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Elle attend. Ah, apparemment on a une compagne ou un compagnon. Ça, je peux pas l'ouvrir, ça. Hein. Non, bah on n'a pas le choix. Hein.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Je veux pas décrocher. Je sais pas qui c'est. Ah, je peux débrancher la prise.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double-check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Allez, je veux l'exercice, moi.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Je peux rebrancher le téléphone? Non. Ok, j'ai pas le choix. Hein. Salut Caroline! Comment tu vas? Alors, on va suivre ce que nous dit le narrateur. Il veut qu'on aille où? Salut à toi! Alors, je sais pas si tu connais le jeu. En gros, il y a un narrateur qui parle. Et soit tu fais ce qu'il te dit, soit tu ne fais pas ce qu'il te dit. Et du coup, en fait, tu crées ton histoire. Et il y a une multitude de fins. Donc là, on a déjà vu 3 fins. On continue pour voir un peu ce qu'il va nous dire. Il a mis une barrière pour pas que je meure.
Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all.
Je suis déjà mort en sautant de la plateforme volontairement pour voir ce qu'il allait me dire. Merci, merci Caroline.
It seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Alors, on va continuer, on va voir ce qu'il va nous dire. Par contre, je vois qu'il y a des portes qui peuvent s'ouvrir grâce à des cartes magnétiques là, mais j'en ai pas trouvé pour l'instant. Ah, il me demande de reculer en arrière. C'est la première fois qu'il me demande ça. De revenir en arrière, de revenir sur mes pas. Ah, il va me demander de rechoisir. Je pense que c'est ça qu'il va me demander. Il va me demander de refaire des choix.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending. The story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Ah oui, il veut que je reprenne la porte de gauche au départ. Il me donnait le choix entre prendre la porte de gauche ou la prendre de droite.
All you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Merci Caroline. Je peux avoir un dédicace? Non, je déconne, t'es le pire. Merci, c'est cool. Donc, il me demande de reprendre la porte de gauche. Bon, la porte de droite, on a vu où ça aboutissait. Est-ce que, si je reste indécis, il va me sortir quelque chose? Je pense pas. Et bah, on va aller à gauche. Hein. Ou alors, on le frustre. Moi, je vais le frustrer, le narrateur. Je vais repartir à droite, on va voir ce qu'il va dire.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Ah, il veut pas, hein. Salut Louis. J'ai retourné. Moi, je veux aller à droite. Ah, il me laisse pas le choix, hein. Je suis obligé d'aller sur la porte de gauche, du coup. Ok, il veut pas que j'aille à droite. Il a foutu un boxon, quand même. Hein. On va aller sur la porte de gauche. Est-ce que je peux revenir en arrière? Non, il me laisse pas. Ok, on va aller sur la porte de gauche. J'ai pas le choix. Ah, la salle de réunion, la fameuse salle de réunion. Oh, bah.
It's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now.
Quand tu
and what am I
déchaînes,
supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would
t'as
it be
du
worth
FNAF,
it? To know that
t'as
my
des jeux
story is not
d'horreur,
incorrect? How can I
t'as
go
du
back to
Fortnite,
that? I can't
Fall
erase that
Guys,
knowledge. I'll have to live
et
with it forever.
je
Reliving
faisais
its
un peu de Valo, mais là je vais
impossibility
faire un peu de pause
forever. I couldn't
sur
live that
Valorant.
way. Is it better to shut the game down
Je fais
entirely,
plus des jeux de
to willingly
découverte
destroy all of my work? I don't know.
et des jeux d'horreur.
What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Demain après-midi, de 14h à 17h, je fais du Fortnite Fall Guys. Et jeudi soir, je fais du FNAF. C'est Five Nights at Freddy. Qu'est-ce qu'il m'a fait?
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Voilà. Porte de gauche ou porte de droite? Eh ben, je vais à la porte de droite, moi. Je m'en fous de l'histoire.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Ah.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Il va être vénère. Non? Il m'a rien dit.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Ah,
exactly as Stanley would.
Il veut pas. Il veut pas gagner à droite.
Always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok, on va aller à gauche, parce qu'il veut pas. Bah voilà, elle est propre sa salle de réunion là.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Aucun intérêt. Ah? Non, ça s'ouvre pas. Ah, on peut pas
Coming to a
descendre.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
On
boss's
pouvait
office.
descendre avant. Ok, on va monter, on va monter, on va monter. Ça s'ouvre pas, ça. Non, ça s'ouvre pas. Et ça... Ah, le bureau du patron a changé aussi, hein. Il est plus sobre. Moi, je vais aller là-bas. Je peux aller par là, là? Non, je peux pas y aller. Je peux pas revenir en arrière.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
One 5.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Il a dit quoi? Requin? Ok, ok.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Requin 115.
Okay, fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision.
C'est une fin?
It cannot exist without you. Do you
C'est une
understand
fin?
me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay.
En fait, il y a plusieurs fins, Louis. C'est une des fins. On en a déjà vu 4 fins. À chaque fois qu'on recommence et qu'on agit différemment, il y a une autre fin. C'est ça le jeu, en fait. C'est qu'il y a des fins multiples. Et là, on recommence. Je voulais voir s'il n'y avait pas une carte qui permet de passer les portes. J'ai pas vu s'il y avait une carte au début.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Je vais voir si je trouve une carte. Pas de carte, hein. Continue.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alors là... Bon, allez, on va le faire plaisir. On va aller sur la porte de gauche. Non, à droite, j'ai un truc que j'ai pas fait. On va aller sur la
This
porte
was
de droite.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
Il y a un
well.
chemin que j'ai pas fait à
Perhaps
droite.
he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
J'ai pas fait ce côté-là.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Là, j'ai le choix entre aller par là ou prendre l'ascenseur. On va prendre l'ascenseur, on va voir ce qu'il y a.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Je peux pas aller à droite?
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Non, je préfère.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ok, allez, c'est parti. Ah. C'est la salle de réunion. C'est la salle des écrans qui permet de voir tous les employés.
No.
J'ai vu que le
This isn't right at
104
all. You're not
était
supposed
viré.
to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just
Le
have to get
104
back
a
to,
été viré.
Who am I kidding?
Et le
It's all rubbish
601.
now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose
Ouais,
we
le
don't wander so
104
far off track, Okay.
Et le
From the
601
top.
sont virés. Ah, il me remet à 0. Le 104 et le 601 ont été virés.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Comment j'avais fait pour trouver la salle 600? À un moment donné, j'étais allé dans les salles 500. Je suis jamais allé aux salles 600. 104 et 601.
When Stanley... Wait.
Ah, il y a des portes.
Wait, what? No,
Pourquoi il y a des portes?
no, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change?
What?
Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley.
Ah bah
Let's
voilà.
find the
Il
story.
y a des portes qu'on n'a jamais fait. On va aller par là. Allez. C'est la même celle-là. Allez, on va aller par là. On n'a jamais fait ça. On a quel numéro de porte là? Je sais pas. C'est un vrai labyrinthe ce truc là.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely
Je suis en
was a
train de
story
tourner en
here
rond là.
before.
Je suis en train de tourner en rond.
Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Encore une fin différente. Ok. Allez, c'est reparti.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay,
y a plus de
it's
porte.
worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ok. On part dans l'autre sens. J'ai l'impression qu'il n'y avait pas cette échelle avant. Ah bah... c'est plus pareil. Attends. Non, je peux pas.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Yeah!
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Et on redémarre. Ok.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Ah, mais on n'est jamais allé par là. Et si je vais tout droit, il se passe quoi?
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on. You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore, to hell with it.
La 234 également, il y a quelque chose sur la 234. Il y a quelque chose dans la 234.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Ok.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here.
Salut Vapor.
And that in turn
ça va?
means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Ok, j'ai pas le choix.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing.
Je suis sur...
Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it.
En fait,
I won't
le
do
but
it.
du
I
jeu,
won't do it.
c'est de trouver les fins du
And
jeu.
the timer stopped.
C'est-à-dire que t'as un narrateur qui te dit quoi faire, et en fonction de ce que tu choisis comme solution, soit tu suis le narrateur, soit tu suis pas le narrateur, et en fait, ça t'amène à des fins différentes.
Will something happen? Okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do...
Ok. Ah voilà, il nous a restart. Il nous a restart, on revient au bureau. Par contre, le démarrage est complètement différent. On n'est pas au même endroit. On arrive directement sur le choix de la porte à droite et à gauche. Alors la gauche, il y a encore des solutions sur la droite. On va aller voir la salle de maintenance.
Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
On n'est pas allé au fond.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ça, c'est la salle de réunion. Ah, mais il nous a ramené dans la salle de réunion. Ok, donc on repart dans la salle de réunion.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a
je
staircase,
peux
Stanley walked
descendre.
upstairs to his boss's office.
On peut descendre.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
Ouais.
Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley
C'est
said
vrai,
to himself,
Vapor.
this is all too strange. This
Ça
can't
demande
be
à lire à
real.
chaque fois.
And at last, he
Alors,
came
au
to
début,
the
j'ai lu, mais
conclusion
après,
that it had been on the tip of his tongue. He
j'ai lu à
just
voix haute,
hadn't
mais
found the
après,
words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Ok.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Ok.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel
Ouais, c'est
better.
une sorte d'histoire.
But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect
le narrateur,
her
il
career,
parle tout le
and
temps,
by
hein.
extension, the
Donc je
rest
laisse
of her
raconter
life.
l'histoire.
She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Et là, ça recommence. C'est sans fin.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Rien n'a changé. Ah, c'est ouvert ça.
Oh, new content?
Ah ouais?
What does that mean, new content?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Ouais, je vais pas sauter. La flemme.
Is that it?
Ouais, c'est tout.
Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content,
Mais
then
en
I could
fait,
just read you the whole
je ne
dictionary.
respecte
There's 20
pas
hours of new
Vapor.
content right there.
En fait,
I could counter 30
en fonction
trillion.
de ce que je
You could
fais,
put that
il
on
se
the
passera
box.
des
The
événements.
Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Et
now
il me
with
demandait
over
de sauter
1,000
30 fois.
hours of new
Je l'ai pas fait.
content. And
Du coup,
oh, wait,
il va se passer autre
there's
chose.
more. Very good. Yes, I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley?
Bravo.
This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Ok, on redémarre. Par contre, tout a changé. Hein.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something.
Non, je vais aller par là, moi.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Ouais, je m'en fous. Ah! On revient sur le bureau de base. Pas grave, on y va.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok, on va aller voir la gauche. Bah ouais, c'est infini. C'est ce que je te dis, Vapor. En fait, il y a plein de solutions. Et quoi que tu fasses, ça change. En fait, t'interagis. Salle de réunion.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office,
Ah, elle est ouverte
hoping he
cette
might
fois.
find an
Vas-y, je
answer
vais aller
there.
là.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Non. Je vais prendre le balai, je peux pas.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Moi, je suis bien là, dans le placard.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet
Que
FA.
dalle. Moi, je suis bien.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing?
Ouais.
Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever.
C'est ça qui est marrant en fait. C'est le narrateur, il est là, il commente tout ce qu'on fait quoi.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Oh putain, ok. Eh ben bravo.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose.
Moi je le pousse dans ses retranchements, le narrateur.
Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby, the person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them.
Vas-y, je vais sortir.
All right. When you've done that, just step out into the hallway. Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Il a vraiment pété un plomb. Bon allez, on y va.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Et bah ouais, je descends, forcément.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy,
oh
why had he taken that
mourir.
risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
Attends, je recommence.
Psst. Stanley!
Vas-y, on va essayer.
Come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something. Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new ULTRA DELUXE content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Je suis dans la mémoriso, c'est sur l'abri des loups, et je n'attends plus que toi, mon amour.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable
Mais c'est sans fin,
strives
Vapor.
and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original
Les gars, ils ont
Stanley
dû
Parable
s'éclater
was.
à faire
It was literally every
les possibilités
game
dans
ever
le jeu.
created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now, a lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
The Original ou la maintenance? On va aller en maintenance. Je peux pas y aller. Ah, il y a un bouton tout en haut là. Il y a un bouton. Il y a des boutons en haut.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Ouais, mais comment je fais pour y aller là?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Les commentaires.
I could not be bothered to
Les
play this game
commentaires
to full
négatifs du
completion.
jeu.
The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to
Je
be
suis
more
sûr qu'en plus le
irritating than
commentaire il doit
entertaining.
exister.
Unfunny.
Tu sais, ils ont pas
I'm trying to be
aimé.
funny.
Ils ont
I'm
mis
trying
le
to make
nom
a
du
serious
mec en
work of
plus.
art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did.
On sent quand même que
But
dans le
maybe it
jeu,
wasn't.
ils se sont vengés
Yeah.
des
What an
commentaires.
awful memory to have to hold on to.
C'est un moyen de
That
se venger
marks
des
on my
commentaires
otherwise
négatifs sur leur
unimpeachable
jeu.
track record. I feel like a failure.
Ah, ils ont mis le pseudo
Like
du
I
gars.
let
Hein.
these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No.
Le mec qui parle.
You're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary
Allez, tais-toi.
Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right...
Tais-toi.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45...
Tais-toi.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting...
Il doit être mort.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us.
Non. Il est plus là. Ça y est, il est vénère. Oh, l'arbre, il est mort. Il est parti. Il est mort. Le narrateur, je l'ai mute. Oui, il parle plus. C'est fini, je l'ai vexé. L'horloge ne marche plus.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth.
C'est toi. Il parle trop, hein. Il parle trop, le narrateur.
The end is never the end, 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 is
veut rien dire d'autre.
is never the end, is never the end, is never...
Ouais, la rage quitte. Bon, par contre, c'est en train de prendre l'eau, le truc, là. Je pense que... Ah ouais, mais tout s'écroule, quoi. Ah, on va pouvoir sortir, là, bientôt. Allez, on passe le temps encore. Ben voilà, on va pouvoir s'enfuir bientôt, là. La nature va reprendre le dessus. Ah. C'est la fin du monde? C'est quoi ces cris? Ah! On peut sortir? Je crois qu'on est allé un peu trop loin dans le temps. On est allé un peu trop loin. Est-ce qu'on peut revenir? Merde, le bouton est cassé. Ah bah c'était une des fins. On revient au bureau. C'était une des fins.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Allez, on va essayer de suivre ce qu'il dit. Oh! Non, je sais pas, elle est là.
When Stanley came to a set of two
Je vais à la
open
porte de
doors,
gauche.
he entered the door on his left.
Je vais aller
Yet
voir le
there was
patron.
not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a
monter.
staircase,
On va
Stanley
monter
walked
chez le patron.
upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, je suis pas allé par là. Ah, je suis pas allé par là non plus. Ah, je peux monter ou descendre? Vas-y, je vais monter. Mais je suis au même endroit. C'est quoi cette arnaque? Je vais descendre. Mais c'est quoi cette arnaque? Cet ascenseur qui marque pas. Ouais, c'est pas un ascenseur, ça, c'est de l'arnaque. Ok, on va aller au bureau.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Bah ouais, je sais pas, donc du coup ça marche pas. Je sais pas le faire.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Two, 8, 4, 5. Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Ah bah voilà. C'est quoi ça? On l'a pas fait ça encore.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Non, je vais aller vers Escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ça marche. Eh? Je suis où là?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Ah!
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ah, mais ça, c'est le bureau de départ. Le couloir. Ok. Et c'est là qu'on a le choix. Porte gauche ou porte droite. Ah, ces deux portes ouvertes constituent la toute première pierre du game design de Stanley Parable. Une fois que cette salle a été créée, le reste du jeu a émergé à partir de ce point de départ comme une exploration de la contradiction posée par cette pièce. Ok. Oh, le vieux solitaire. Donc ça, c'est le bureau numéro 1, 2, 3, ok. Son bouton. Remerciement. L'impression de visiter un musée du jeu. Zone de guerre. Ah, j'ai pas fait la zone de guerre. Email du narrateur. Moi, j'aimerais bien trouver la carte qui permet d'ouvrir les portes. Ah, c'est quoi ça? Ah, c'est l'explication. Obéis ou désobéis. Porte de droite, désobéis. Porte de gauche, obéis. Ok. Il doit avoir la carte, je pense, ici, la carte.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Non. Je me suis laissé crever.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
C'est réparti, c'est sans fin. Je vais essayer le bureau direct du boss.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Et je vais essayer le bureau du boss.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
Je l'ai même pas
That
laissé.
kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Je lui ai pas laissé de donner le code. J'ai tapé le code avant qu'il me le donne. Ça l'a énervé.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Et ça, on l'a fait. On prend l'ascenseur. Est-ce que je peux monter? Non. La question, c'est est-ce que je peux remonter avec l'ascenseur? Ça, c'est la question qui tue. Je peux remonter. Qu'est-ce qui se passe si je remonte?
Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me.
Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out. Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Y a rien à faire. Il me laisse remonter, mais y a rien à faire. Salut Frost. Je crois qu'il n'y a rien à faire en fait. Hein. On va redescendre. Hein.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this? Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Bon, on va tout droit. On va aller voir ce qu'il va me dire.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength?
Vous voulez que je remonte? Vapor. Ah. Je pense pas que je puisse revenir en arrière. Il a fermé la porte là. Ah, il a fermé la porte. Le but du jeu, il y en a pas, Frost. Le but du jeu, c'est de suivre une histoire. Il y a un narrateur qui parle et souvent il nous incite à faire, il nous incite à faire ce qu'il raconte. Mais t'es pas obligé de suivre. Et en fait, à chaque fois, ça t'amène à une autre fin. Le but étant, de recommencer le jeu et de voir toutes les fins qui existent. Sachant qu'à chaque fois que tu fais des conneries, le narrateur il commente tes conneries. Alors c'est pas un jeu d'horreur. Hein.
Now the monitors jump to life.
Vous voyez ici, le 104, il a été viré. Et le 104 a été viré. Ça, c'est tous les bureaux.
And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant
le 601, il a été viré. Et le 234, il y a un bug au 234. Mais j'ai pas vu les bureaux. Le 104 et le 234.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control?
Il faudrait voir ce qu'il y a dans le 104
was this the only reason he was happy
et dans le
with his boring
234.
job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Ouais, 104 et 234. Et 601, mais alors les 601, je les ai jamais vus.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly
utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ah, il doit avoir un moyen de rallumer tout ça. Il veut que j'aille à la sortie, mais moi je vais pas aller à la sortie. Il y a sûrement quelque chose à faire là. Il y a une sortie là. Mais tout est offline, il faut tout allumer. Il faut tout allumer. Non, c'est pas un jeu d'horreur, Frost. J'ai voulu faire un jeu non d'horreur cette fois-ci. Par contre, j'ai plein de jeux d'horreur en réserve. Ça, j'en ai plein. J'ai fait le plein. J'ai des stocks sur mon Steam, là. Je sais ce que je vais vous montrer plus tard. Là, j'ai voulu faire un jeu un peu plus peace, tu vois, pour la santé mentale. Parce que j'ai quand même souffert récemment avec tous les jeux d'horreur. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce truc? Demain, Fortnite, ouais, tout à fait. Fortnite et Fall Guys.
Source of the room's power. He knew it was his duty, his obligation
contrôle mental,
to put an end to this horrible place.
On avait fait tout à l'heure, au tout début du jeu, on avait fait off et on était sorti et on était libéré. Moi, je veux activer le contrôle mental. On va faire on cette fois-ci.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you want? Control?
Ouais.
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that.
On doit pouvoir activer le contrôle mental.
Power you think you do, for example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent.
On doit pouvoir
Stanley
activer tout ça.
suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification,
le bouton
nuclear
1.
detonators are set to explode,
Il est là.
eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Non, c'est
Or
pas
did
ça.
you just assume when you saw
Ah,
that
il y a un
timer
escalier.
that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door.
Je vois pas ce qu'il faut
Everything,
faire.
anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment.
Ah,
but
y a un
here's a
truc à
spoiler
faire.
for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a
Appuie sur le
challenge,
bouton
it's
3
a
bleu, mais
tragedy.
je le vois pas.
You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's
Ouais.
30
Il reste
seconds
30
you have
secondes
left
pour
to
trouver la
struggle.
solution, mais je vois pas.
30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the job.
Il y a un truc à faire
And
ici,
believe
hein.
me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Il y a un truc à faire dans cette pièce. Mais j'ai pas compris. C'est sûr qu'il y a un truc à faire. Il faut faire un truc dans cette pièce. Mais alors quoi?
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
Ça, je l'ai pas fait non
Oh,
plus.
good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you. You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this Ultra Deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this Ultra Deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Oh! La suite?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so
va,
many
d'abord.
different directions.
À demain.
This is what
À demain, t'es pas là?
fans have truly been asking for.
Ok, ça marche, Vapor. C'est pas grave, t'inquiète.
Calling it the Stanley Parable
Allez,
2
salut.
is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Waouh, c'est immense. Ah, il y a plusieurs trucs là. No screenshot. Ok.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on. You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the sequel.
Ok.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Et pour l'instant, c'est pas ouvert. Ah!
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Ah, en fait, il y a plusieurs possibilités. Hein. On va aller voir celui-là. Par contre, il a... Ah, il tourne sur lui-même. Ok.
Ah! Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life. God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
C'était pas ça là? Il y avait pas ça avant? Infinity Hall. Le trou à l'infini. Vas-y, on va aller voir ça. Le trou infini. Le trou infini. Il est où?
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Le trou infini. Ça va être la fin, là, si je saute. Bon, bah, allez, hein. On m'en voit rien. Ah, si.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the
On va voir si
teleport
l'infini
button
se
to go
trouve.
back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum
Je
of
tombe.
things.
Ah ouais, j'ai l'air de tomber, hein.
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole.
Ah, c'est pas un
Is it
trou
a very,
infini?
very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole.
Ah,
I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it
Ah ouais.
infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
wow.
Okay, well, good for you. You found
Bah, il
the
est pas
bottom
infini,
of
ce
the
trou.
hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
Bah, c'est pas un trou infini.
Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole
Quasi sans fond.
mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Bah, je suis bien moins dans ce trou. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a d'ailleurs? Il y a quoi? Every pause bouton is a Roman numéral 2. Non. Ah, il y a quoi là? Just the two. Ah non, mais c'est la pub pour le 2. Non, il n'y a rien d'intéressant. Non, il n'y a rien, il n'y a que des mégots. Bon bah je vais me téléporter en haut. Là, je me téléporte. G.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you
Moi, je vais
even more
repartir dans le trou, moi.
for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much.
Moi j'aime bien les trous sans fin.
A
Enfin,
normal
pseudo sans
person
fin.
would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of...
Eh?
Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to
Il
you
est moins
this time?
profond.
I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an
Il est moins
infinite
profond.
hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button
va
and
se
come
téléporter.
join me up above.
On y revoit?
Had enough?
Allez hop.
I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but
Il
that it's
diminue.
growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come
Ah
to
ouais,
haunt me.
le trou à l'infini.
Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole. at
Allez,
this
j'y vais.
point. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Ça marche pas?
Is the, teleport button not working?
Non.
You sure?
Oui.
Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. Still nothing?
Non,
Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm
ça
out.
marche plus.
Goodbye, Stanley. You
What?
couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone.
Release Casey.
You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley.
Je suis
I
coincé.
hope you and the hole.
Non, non, mais reviens. Reviens. Il est parti. Il est parti. Je peux pas me téléporter. C'est quoi ce bruit? Il se passe quoi là? Ohé! Ah, ça redescend. Ça redescend. Il m'a abandonné? Eh, pour changer la perspective. Putain, on dirait l'ambiance d'un film. Oh, la musique. Changez votre réalité. Là, bon, j'aime pas la musique. C'est quoi ces musiques? Oh là là, le... Changez votre qualité. Changez votre qualité. Ah bah ça c'est mignon ça. Ça me va. Ouais.
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the
Laisse-moi
hole?
sortir.
From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Quoi? Téléporte? Marche pas. Mais... Ça redescend? D'accord, il m'a abandonné dans le trou, quoi. Mais trop laid, quoi. Bah, je suis où, là? Ok, je suis revenu dans
Here
le
we
jeu.
are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Bon, je vais aller faire le bucket, le seau. Ça a l'air pas mal, le seau. Allez, on va faire le bucket.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Le seau. Ouais, pourquoi pas? Ça fait compagnie, hein, quand on est tout seul.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body.
Ah, c'est
And in
clair, c'est
fact,
trop bien.
can I
Avoir un
say
seau.
that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
D'accord. Alors, je fais quoi avec mon seau, moi? Ok, on va se balader avec un seau.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
La grésille.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Champion du monde. Allez, on va faire champion du monde. C'est fermé. Ok. Ça, on l'a fait déjà. Là-bas, c'est fermé. Ok, on va y aller, allez.
What do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Pour l'instant, je me trimballe toujours avec mon seau. Hein.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
D'accord, je m'appelle Jim.
Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
Jim.
All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Jim.
See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name the button says, but no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
Non.
Jim. 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 Jim.
J'ai pas d'autres boutons? Ok. Je peux pas aller par là. Là, tout est fermé là. Ok, bah je reviens sur mes pas. Qu'est-ce qu'on n'a pas fait?
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Bah oui, forcément, s'il s'appelle Jim, ça marche, hein. Qu'est-ce qu'on n'a pas fait? Ah, on n'est pas allé par là. Sortie. Bah voilà, sortie. Allez, on sort.
All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça?
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
D'accord.
Okay. Are you ready?
Vas-y.
Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Waouh. Wow.
I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Ah, il me met sur une autre... Ok, commencer le jeu. Il m'a mis le jeu,
This is the
carrément.
story of a man named...
Mais... Je suis revenu au point de départ. Il a juste mis des ballons. C'est quoi cette arnaque?
All of his co-workers were gone, What could it mean?
Et il est où mon seau?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
il
simply
est là.
missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his
Oh, on
left.
peut sortir peut-être avec le bucket. Est-ce qu'on peut s'enfuir avec le bucket?
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned
On va essayer
to
de le
discover
tenir.
not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence
Mince,
of the bucket.
je me rappelle plus.
Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion
Salut,
and
Louis.
chaos. It would be with him always.
Non, Louis.
The
Je
bucket would.
fais pas ça sur
And
Discord.
he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Mais c'est ce que j'ai fait. Ah non, j'ai mis le 8 en dernier.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Oh!
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
On va voir s'il y a une fin avec le saut.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the
Allez,
large
on
door
pense.
that read
On pense à la
Mind
sortie.
Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
faire la
secret
dernière
did this
fin.
place hold? Stanley and
Et on
the bucket
s'arrêtera
both
là.
wondered to
Et en
themselves.
fait, il y a plein de fins, donc c'est un infini pratiquement. Je sais pas combien de fins il y a dans le jeu.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket
J'ai
in
toujours
shock.
pas trouvé la salle
Everyone in the
104.
office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
On est arrivé.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
Alors ici,
Controls
il y a
labeled
un
with
truc à
emotions,
faire, mais j'ai pas
happy
compris
or
pour
sad
l'instant.
or content.
On va aller vers la sortie.
Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert
Clique
its
sur off.
terrible power.
Voilà. On va s'enfuir avec le bucket.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and...
Eh?
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Voilà, c'était la fin avec le bucket. Bon, sur ce, voilà, c'était le jeu. Donc, c'était le jeu Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Donc, le jeu aux multitudes de fins. Je pense qu'on n'a pas, on a dû voir que la moitié des fins.
What could it mean? Stanley
En tout
decided
cas,
to go to the
il y a
meeting room.
une
Perhaps he
multitude
had
de
simply
fins.
missed a memo.
Je vais sortir, hein. Retour au menu. Voilà. Retour au bureau. Petite musique. Bon, voilà. On s'arrête là. Il est 22h55. C'était Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Je voulais voir ce jeu parce qu'effectivement, on me disait que ce jeu... c'était une multitude de solutions, il y a des énigmes, il y a des choses à chercher, à fouiller, il y a effectivement des fins qu'on n'a pas trouvées comme activer le contrôle mental pour devenir le maître des bureaux, comprendre, on n'a pas compris non plus pourquoi les employés avaient disparu, hein. Donc il y avait pas mal de choses encore à faire, mais bon, c'est pas grave, je le ferai peut-être une prochaine fois. En tout cas, donc je vous dis demain 14h-17h, on se fera du Fortnite avec les viewers et on fera une petite session d'1h30, 2h de Fortnite et derrière on enchaîne 1h de Fall Guys. Jeudi, on continuera sur du FNAF. Et dimanche, soit c'est FNAF, soit c'est un jeu d'horreur. Voilà. Sur ce, je vous souhaite une très bonne soirée et je vous dis à demain pour les autres qui veulent me rejoindre pour les parties de Fortnite Fall Guys. Allez, je vous dis bonne soirée et n'hésitez pas à mettre un petit pouce bleu sur le live pour le mettre en avant. Et si vous avez aimé, n'hésitez pas à vous abonner. Ça fera toujours plaisir aussi. Je rappelle qu'on a dépassé les 300 abonnés. Et ça fait vraiment plaisir. Qu'est-ce que tu dis, Louis? Non, ça je l'avais lu. Ok, ça marche. Bonne soirée à toi. Allez, à demain à 14h pour les parties sur Fortnite. Ciao.